Thank you for joining today's session. I'm Vivek, and I lead data sciences at Pixis. Pixis is one-stop marketing automation platform where we provide tools to digital marketers which are more AI native in order to improve their time efficiency and also improve their ROI on their marketing spends. Uh, Today, we are going to present our work on developing AI agents for digital marketing. It's a team effort. My entire team is here who have worked on this. Uh, but before getting into agents, just wanted to give you guys some context on how digital marketing works, just a brief context. So in today's world, digital marketing involves running campaigns, running ads across multiple platforms. The campaigns themselves are for different products and services, different objectives. Digital marketer has to identify optimal audiences, and then a lot of his time gets spent on optimizing the spends through strategic bid strategies, budget strategies, and he has to continuously monitor the performance as well so that then it can help improve the ROI. All this can become very overwhelming for the digital marketer, and what it leads to is less time for him and a lot of data at his lot of data that he's exposed to, but less time to analyze. So what it leads eventually is some inefficiencies and lower ROI. In recent times, what people, especially in digital marketing folks, have done is they have built specialized tools for each of these different tasks like targeting or bid optimization, budget optimization, media planning. Uh, that they The challenge with these tools, and of course, Pixis also has a lot of such ML machine learning models for the digital marketer. Challenge with these tools is that they are very specialized, they are siloed, and eventually digital marketer has to gather recommendations, insights from these tools and yet have to make the decision. So decision making still leads to certain delays in time. In last 2 years, LLMs have been used to solve some part of it that, hey, you can combine all the insights and LLM can probably synthesize it and provide outputs. Uh, LLMs have also been used for some of the very specific tasks like content creation, which has quite exploded in today's world when it comes to generative AI. Of course, there are some challenges over here. Uh, Mainly so far, and I mean, it's an evolving field. So far, it has challenges with numerical computations. There are sometimes hallucinations, especially in a digital marketing when there are so many moving pieces. The reasoning has to be quite complex, and that's where LLMs have, at least on our experiments, have kind of shown limited success. So in recent 1 year or so, we have seen that the next stage of LLMs is using agents. Agents are essentially models, LLM models, which are equipped with data, which are equipped with some of these tools, and which are also equipped with, they can do multi-step planning. We have seen such agents used in different industries. So our work in Pixis has been to kind of develop Pixie, our agent that we are calling, which can help the digital marketer to automate his tasks.
Let's talk about the objectives of Pixie. The objectives are threefold. Pixie aims to be cross-functional. So Pixie currently supports multiple functionalities across marketing domain, like performance analysis, bid budget optimization, and so on. It also enhances these functionalities by making them work together. The framework is also very flexible. It can work with multiple data platforms and across multiple data types. And Pixie also tends to be really reliable because it generates contextually relevant recommendations, which are also very well structured and numerically precise. Now, there are three key components of Pixie. There are agents, which are large language models. There is a primary orchestration agent that coordinates the entire workflow. And then there are task-specific agents. These agents are equipped with tools, which are our proprietary statistical models, which are responsible for doing certain marketing tasks that an agent might not be able to do it by themselves. And the data for these tasks comes from knowledge infrastructure that consists of a data warehouse and a knowledge graph. Data warehouse is where we store our performance metrics, and knowledge graph stores relationships between brands, industries, and marketing keywords, which is needed to give more context to the agents about the use case.
So before we talk about Pixie in detail, let's also talk about the other architectures which we tried during our experiments. We tried 3 architectures all in all, in increasing order of complexity, of which Pixie is of course the third one. In the first architecture, we tried a single agent workflow where access of all the Pixie models were given to an LLM. And this single agent was asked to do everything from deciding budgets, bids, targeting, and things like that. Now, this is a scenario where, of course, you could see that this agent feels a little bit overloaded. And to help this agent in the second architecture, we sort of gave it 2 more collaborative agents, and we sort of separated 2 tasks. We separated out analyzing performance of the campaigns, and then we also separated out reconciling the recommendations from different tools. And then there was a central recommender agent. This is more of a collaborative framework because all the agents sees all the communication, all the state graphs and things like that. And still, recommendation in itself is involves a spectrum of recommendations or action types: bid, budget, creative, audiences. So in the third architecture, which is Pixie, we sort of made it even more specialized. So this is a hierarchical structure in which first we have a primary agent whose role mostly is to orchestrate between different agents. So user communicates with this primary agents, ask this agent that I have this query, I want this kind of recommendation. Understanding the query, agent sort of directs and calls relevant sub-agents. So here we can see that we have a review agent, task-specific agents, and reconciliation agent. Task-specific agents is just an abstract agent. Essentially, we have like 5 agents which are directly connected to primary agent, and primary agent communicates with that. Moving forward, yeah, we can. Yes, so yeah, I talked a little bit about primary agent already. Next, let's talk somewhat about analyzer agent. So this agent, mostly what it does is it analyzes the performance of the campaigns. It will fetch in all the metrics data, understands user queries, and it will do some sort of, you can say RCA, that okay, this metric is going down, this metric is doing well, and then based on those metrics going up and down, it sort of recommends that okay, maybe today I need to take these sort of actions, and do we even need long-term recommendations or not? So we generally classify our recommendations into 2 types, tactical and strategical. Tacticals are generally short-term actions like changing bid budget, things like that. Strategical are long-term, like changing the structure of the campaign, changing bid strategy entirely, pausing a campaign, things like that. So yeah, those are tactical and strategical recommendation. Next, we'll talk about different agents in more detail.
So next agent that we have is Audience Explorer agent. Now, this agent serves all the requests that are related to custom creation of audiences. Some example use cases can be that user wants audiences for any specific brand, any specific product, events or personas. So this agent kind of handles all such questions. In terms of data, this agent pulls information from our knowledge base, which is graph database, along with supporting databases. Now, our implementation for graph data is in Neo4j, where we have interconnected data for brands, their metadata, and audiences for different platforms. Now, also, I mean, other than this, we have PG Vector that helps us with embeddings and some other like SQLDB for helping with other information. Now, tool-wise, we have quite a lot of tools here that help us, that that help this agent in terms of scoring, figuring out the right flow that needs to be executed to get to the outputs. Execution steps, again, like most of the requests will be specific to some kind of audiences, so there we need to consider that flow, like proper execution steps are being followed, and pulling data from the databases. um, in terms of flow of the agent, it's little different from a typical agent. Here we try to make the question more detailed by figuring out the entities that are being asked in the question. We tend to figure out what are those entities from our knowledge base, append some context so that the agent understand what is being exactly asked by the user. And we also append some possible steps that can be taken by the agent to figure out the final output. This helps agent in terms of ensuring that it has enough context about what is being what's needed, and proper execution steps are being followed.
Yeah, so I will be talking about the creative agent. So in any ad campaign, there are multiple ads running, and in each ad, some sort of content is associated with it, whether it is image, video, or text. So we will be talking about image only here. So this agent scores the image on the basis of two aspects. First is performance metrics of past ad campaigns, and the second aspect is based on the visual quality of the image. And when the recommendations are generated based on these two aspects by the agent, it summarizes all these recommendations and sends it back to the primary agent. Now the scoring based on the visual quality here by the agent is the multimodal aspect of this agent, where we send the image as an input, and it scores based on the two elements, visual element of the image and the textual element of the image. Next, we will talk about the feedback agents. There are two feedback agents. First is the reconciler agent. Basically, it does is that it identifies any potential gap or conflict in the final recommendations that are generated by all the agents separately, and then it instructs the primary agents to regenerate the recommendations based on the feedback that was provided. The second is the reviewer agent, where it identifies any vague or non-specific recommendations, and then it instructs back the primary agent to basically include some specific metrics of the campaign assets in the final recommendations.
Uh, so once we had developed this kind of framework, we had to evaluate how the outcomes are. In order to do the evaluation, what we did was we did research on, did research on how a digital marketer daily workflow is. What are the different tasks that he does on a daily basis? And we mapped those tasks into questions which in an experimental setting and digital marketer can ask the agent, and then we mainly evaluated on questions, their follow-up questions, and we created this questionnaire for so far we have tested it for 4 diverse clients across their spends, across different platforms, across different ad types, campaign objectives. Uh, Once we got the responses of the agent, how we evaluated was it was a twofold mechanism. One was expert evaluation, where the marketers who had actually provided these questions, they themselves evaluated the evaluated the responses, mainly on 5 to 6 key metrics that we again identified after discussing with the marketers, as well as there has been some literature on how typically agents are evaluated. So it's mainly about coherence, conciseness, how explainable is the recommendation, is the reasoning accurate, and so forth. There was another, because this process is not scalable, because we'll have to have more and more marketers where we'll have to put it out. In order to gather secondary response, we also kind of mimicked that process into LLM as a judge, where we provided these prompts on how, after discussion with marketers on, hey, how did you evaluate whether this was accurate or not? and we prompted the LLM to be the judge, and then further we studied whether LLM as a judge is correlating with the expert evaluation. So what we observed is that when we have our Pixie agent architecture, obviously what we observed in the data that it provides better performance and in terms of explainability, reasoning accuracy. However, of course, it will come at increased latency and computational cost. We also observed there is good correlation between LLMs as judge and humans, which means that you can, scale this and do a lot more lab experiments before we can actually go out and test more and more human marketers. I think the challenging part comes here when it's not when there is a single question and answer, but challenge comes when there are a lot of follow-up questions based on one particular task that marketer is performing. In general, what we observed that the answers were reliable, but when the follow-up questions themselves were very composite. For example, what if marketer asked to now completely change the campaign objective and then provide recommendations? Those are the areas where we found that the agentic workflow was not working as expected. And it was, the responses were still generalized, but they were not specific. And that's kind of, one of the area that we have to work on as well. These are some of the results. So what we have done is we analyzed each agent. These are mostly based on our human expert evaluations that we had done. We had asked them to score on a scale of 0, 1, 2. 0 meaning they do not align with whatever recommendations they have provided. 2, that they completely align. 1 is partial alignment. As you can see with the hierarchical agent, the scores are kind of quite good. Of course, there is a lot that we can improve. This is work in progress. This is done with 4 brands, and LLM as a judge performed as well on 4 brands, which we want to now expand to more clients.
Okay, and to quickly cover the future directions, first of all, we see value in increasing complexity. So we wanted to cover marketing domain with more agents, more tools, hyper-specialized agents. And this will, of course, lead to increased number of recommendations. And if we increase number of recommendations, this will lead to more conflicts. So we will need to improve on the reconciliation logic so that these conflicts can be resolved. And also, last but not least, we wanted to improve our validation framework by including more evaluators and gathering more data points to make sure that whatever improvements we're bringing into Pixie, they actually make sense, they bring up accuracy, and they bring up usefulness of the tool. Thanks, everyone.
Any questions? Yes.
You showed about multiple agents talking to each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
You showed about multiple agents talking to each other. So just want to know the framework behind the talking to each other. Is it like LangGraph or QAI, Pydantic?
Yes, we use LangGraph.
LangGraph.
Yeah.
So do you want to show something on that side of the house, because how these agents are talking together, connected together, and all that?
Yeah. So like we have in appendix some of the snapshots from the conversations that goes. So if you look at a sample, first user starts with a very generic question that can you recommend optimal actions for this optimizer using basis its performance. So in the backend, agents are linked that we know which optimizer. Optimizer is essentially a group of campaigns that we want to optimize. Then first primary agent understand user is looking for performance analysis. It sends this query to analyzer agent. Analyzer agent bases that processes. And previous slide for just a minute. Yeah, analyzer agent does the performance analysis. This is the output on the right hand side, which we can see with different metrics. We have just masked out the details, and then at the end, it also recommends what sort of actions are needed: strategic, tactical, creative recommendations. And in the next flow, after understanding the output of analyzer agent, primary agent now calls tactical recommender agent because analyzer agent had recommended that we need this sort of recommendations. Then similarly, tactical recommendation is generated its output. So and so will go, and then finally we'll reach at reconciliation agent, where primary agent will ask the reconciliation agent to evaluate the reports prepared by different assistant. Are there any conflicts? Are we making any significant changes? Reconciliation agent does that, and then if it doesn't find, it says to primary agent that everything looks good to me. Then primary agent will go to the reviewer agent. Reviewer agent will essentially check for if recommendations are well explained or not, specific to different campaigns or not. If reviewer is also satisfied, it will inform the primary agent that I am satisfied, and then finally primary agent will forward those outputs.
That essentially means two things to me. First thing is how you will evaluate this entire flow. Humans cannot evaluate. If I am in the bad mood, I will say 0 to everything. I don't know. Like human behavior is important, right? So that comes into picture. Second thing, you already use ChatGPT here, I guess. I think maybe it's 01 and something.
So it's 4.0.
Maybe the top notch. Who will be judge after that? Because you already use the topmost model to design your framework. After that, from where you'll get the Supreme Court judge to analyze whether everything is doing well, right? So what's your take on that?
So we had to bring in humans. At the end, we generated outputs for 4 different brands across different questions, and we asked them to label, like, are these answers concise, accurate, explain.
Seriously, it is working? Like humans evaluate all these things and then give you.
Each in respective field. So in marketing, you have people who work on creatives, you have people who work on planning, on bids, on budgets, on everything. So basically, those tools are a reflection of the organizational structure.
Yes.
So you can pin down those tools to concrete people who can evaluate.
Yeah, the analogy is very similar. Like, you are evaluating healthcare agents with the help of doctors and nurses. Over here, the experts are marketers. The marketers are evaluating on the basis of how functionally accurate these outputs are, or recommendations are. If the marketer believes that, hey, I need to increase budget by, let's say, 10% for this particular campaign. Is it aligning when it comes to what agent and tools have provided? And I think that's how the entire paradigm of, even machine learning is that, you have certain, over here, you don't have a priori labeled data, but the labeled data comes from, it's more of an evaluation where marketers will evaluate that, hey, I got this, is it correct or not?
Thank you, but I'm afraid about the scaling part, seriously, because humans cannot scale to a level which we are looking for, right? So
I would say yes and no, but I think that's the reason we are also investing on LLM as a judge, where we can again mimic how the human experts are evaluating it. See, at the end of the day, what we have realized is that, LLMs, when you are training them for specific tasks, and over here, LLM, I'm training it just to be as a judge, then of course, its throughput is much better when, as opposed to having, giving everything to them, and that's where they hallucinate and things like that. So that's the way we look at it.
all right, yeah, thank you.
Please give a big hand to Vivek and the team.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a team effort. Our ML ops head and all the data scientists have equally contributed to this work. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.